Hey everyone, super excited to share this new calculator tool that I created to help you better manage your marketing investment. So, through the course of our work and conversations with med spa owners, one of the things that I realized is no one really has a firm grasp on what their marketing investment is actually doing for their practice, for their growth goals, and how those numbers play out. And then the flip side of the challenge is not only do the spa owners, practice owners not have that information, marketing companies really don't provide accurate information because they tend to skew the data in their favor by only measuring lifetime value. So let me kind of show you what I mean by that. So if you're a pool contractor, for example, it's really easy to measure your ROI because everything is project based and you kind of collect all of the money upfront, right? So if you're spending $5,000 a month as a pool installer, and you generate even one new pool installation for $30,000, then you have a 6x return on your marketing investment as a percentage of revenue. So that's really easy to measure ROI. Now, if you're a medical spa or an aesthetics practice and you rely on lifetime value, then those numbers become a lot more difficult because even if we say the average lifetime value of a patient is $5,000, that doesn't actually come to fruition in the first month. So if you were to spend $5,000 your first month of marketing, and I were to say, hey, you got 10 patients this month for your $5,000. First of all, not a good number, but I'm just using this as an example to illustrate. If that $5,000 investment generated 10 new patients, and then your marketing company were to come back and say, hey, we agreed average lifetime value is $5,000. So your $5,000 investment this month brought in $50,000 because of the lifetime value reference, right? And in reality, that's just not super helpful. It doesn't help you actually project growth, how much revenue you're generating from your marketing efforts, and what the business is going to look like 12, 24, 36 months down the road. So I created this calculator to solve that problem. And one of the core components of this calculator is instead of measuring our marketing investment, so we don't want to do the flip side either. We don't want to just measure our marketing investment based on initial revenue because that's going to be completely skewed in the opposite direction where it's not telling us nearly the full picture because the goal here is not to get people in for one discounted service and never see them again. It's to take a certain percentage of those people and turn them into recurring business that's coming back month after month or year after year. So to do this, we've done a few things with this calculator tool that should help you measure and manage your marketing efforts more effectively. The first thing is we've put a limit on what we're calling lifetime value. So it's really hard to measure lifetime value if there's no specific time frame, right? So if you're going to be in business for the next 20 years, how are we going to measure how much business we're getting over the next 20 years from a specific patient and try to average that out? It just seems overwhelming and like a lot. So we put a window on this and kind of assigned a monthly dollar amount average. So if we were to say, for example, that the lifetime value of a patient on average is $5,000, and we're ballparking that between the extremes. So we know there are going to be certain people that if you're still in business 5 years from now, are going to spend way more than $5,000 with your practice, your best patients. There's some people that are going to come in for a new patient special offer and they're never going to see you again. So we're trying to average that out there to get an average lifetime value number. The book Med Spa Confidential lists $10,000 as that number. To be conservative, we're going with $5,000 as the lifetime value of an average aesthetics patient over a 5-year window. I think that gives us a relatively conservative way to estimate this, but if you want to play with that, you can change the numbers in the calculator. If you've got that data yourself, you can input that number here. So that's one of the first things we want to do is get a lifetime value estimate. You can start with $5,000 if you don't have any other data. One thing that I might suggest, though, to try to get that data is go back over the course of the year, maybe, right? Go back 12 months from now and look from last May. How many new patients did you acquire last May? And maybe pick 25. So let's say 25 new patients from last year, 12 months ago, and see how many of those patients are still spending money with you today. If so, how much did they spend with you over the course of the year? How many dropped off and only did business with you once? And see if from that pool of 25 or so, you can get an average annual amount right? So if you can get the average annual amount, you can even do this. You could say, hey, on average, the average person spent $1,000 with us. And then you just change the monthly revenue to divided by 12. So you're just dividing this by month. So I have this divided by 60 because it's the 5-year window. But you can change that if you want to play with that and say, hey, per year, the average patient is worth $1,000 to us. So $1,000 divided by 12, plug that number in here. But I'm going to go back to what we had here just to give us this window. And again, the whole purpose of this is to get a monthly revenue number that averages out. So by putting in a lifetime value number, it's going to give us a monthly estimate as to how much a new patient is actually worth to the practice. So obviously nobody's actually spending $83 with you every month. Some people are going to spend a few $100s with you and then never see you again, or not see you for a couple months, or maybe they're going to come back every 6 months. But we need to average this out to understand how the numbers play out. So to average that out, we're going to say $83 a month, right? So then we can play with some specific things in this spreadsheet. We can say, and I'm starting this at the campaign level. You can do this as an overall marketing blueprint too. So you can say overall on marketing, we're spending, $8,000 a month on marketing and advertising, and roughly we're getting, 180 new leads per month right now. That gives us a cost per lead of about $20, right? Let's say that's 200. We bump that up real quick here. I think this is not actually working on the math. Let's go back to the sheet and do it here. Okay, $5,000 is your monthly marketing investment in this example. And let's say you're getting 150 leads a month for that investment. Gives you a cost per lead across the board of $33. Those numbers you should know. You should know how much you're spending. If not, we need to talk, but you should have somebody being able to provide you these numbers if you can't provide them yourself. How much are you spending? How many new leads are you getting? And then how many of those leads are you closing, right? So just to give you some ballpark numbers here and why I have 15% as the default on the spreadsheet, if we're running ads on Facebook or Instagram, we're generally shooting for 10 to 15% close rate. So those are not going to be high intent leads, but they're generally going to be really cheap. I have a client right now getting $6 cost per lead on their current ad campaign for PRP. So you can get really cheap leads on Facebook, but they're not going to convert at as high of a rate. On Google, your leads are going to cost more, but you should convert those at 25 to 30%. So the reason I went on the lower side is because the more of the leads volume wise are going to come from Facebook. So I put an overall close rate of 15% as a good baseline goal. And then on average, when you get a new patient in the door, how much is the average ticket, right? How much are they spending at checkout? If you're doing a lot of stuff, cool sculpting and lasers, it could be a lot more. If you're just doing facials, it's going to be a lot less. If you're doing fillers, somewhere in between. But get these numbers at least in place to ballpark. And you can do this overall, or you can do this for a specific effort. So, let's say we're running a campaign for lip filler and we're going to spend $2,000, or let's even say, $1,000 a month on that specific ad for lip filler. And from that, we know we're going to generate roughly 50 leads at $20 cost per lead. This number is pretty accurate to a client that we work with that's running a lip filler ad right now. And then the close rate, since it's just Facebook ads in this case, let's be conservative and let's say I think hers is actually 11% when we audited. I think there's room for improvement there. And then I think the special was $499. So initial revenue would be $500, and then we keep our lifetime value calculation in place. So what this now does is it projects our growth. So the first month you're running this campaign, this promotion, you're going to spend $1,000 to generate 50 leads. And that's going to be a cost per lead of $20 just based on the math there. And then of those 50 leads, 11% actually come in for a booked appointment, right? So that gives you 6 new patients per month from the lip filler promo. At $500 a month, that means the first month you do this, you're spending $1,000 to generate $2,750 in revenue. But what starts to happen is because now we're signing a dollar amount to the patients that we're acquiring over time, we can see the exponential growth here. So now by the time you get to, if we're starting this in May, by the time you get to Christmas time, December of this year, toward the end of the year, you now have 6 new patients every month for like 7 months here. So you've got dozens of new patients that you didn't have before that you can average out are spending $83 a month, and you can start to see the exponential return. So the initial revenue is always going to be that same $2,750 from new patients you've never seen before, but you start to accumulate the lifetime value from the previously acquired patients, and it gives you your total monthly revenue generated from this marketing investment. So just this one campaign at $1,000 a month would make you an extra $63,000 in revenue that you wouldn't have had otherwise. And over the course of 24 months, because you've acquired so many new patients that have some residual value, that single campaign has created nearly $200,000 in growth. So again, this is way more helpful than sitting here and using a lifetime value calculation, because the old kind of method that I see other people using here, especially marketing companies, is to say, if your average lifetime value is 5,000 and you got 6 new patients, then your $1,000 marketing investment made you $30,000. And that's going to be really confusing when you look at your books and your $1,000 marketing investment actually only brought in $2,750, which is realistic. So I think this kind of explains, first of all, how to set realistic expectations, how to forecast growth, and how to understand how lifetime value equates into your growth path, and how the accumulation of new patients can help you reach your growth and revenue objectives. So I hope that's super helpful. You can download the link to the spreadsheet planner in the description of this video, or go to medspamagicmarketing.com/calculator, medspamagicmarketing.com/calculator to get this download link. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments or reach out.